Welcome to Philosophy 4100, the philosophy of American enterprise at Northwood University. My name is Ed Durbin. I'm your instructor this term. And my information for the class, my availability is uh, over the phone, of course. 586-871-3224 is my cell number. You can contact me there. I would appreciate if you called um, rather than text. But at any rate, again, feel free to call anytime. Also, my email address is posted as well. So, at any rate, the first thing we see here is Northwood attendance policy, and this is the first thing I want you to do when you after logging into this class is to get into the discussion board and just post something, briefly if you will, if you wish, but just post something, a welcome, etc. Because this is what the university uses to see if people are actually engaged in the class, if they've actually logged into the class. It really is what it comes down to, engaged in some part. So please get in and do the discussion board immediately, meaning just one post would be sufficient before, by day 3 of the class, if you will, by Wednesday. And I'll mention this as we go forward again. Anyway, this is an eight-week course. It goes very quickly, half a semester, half a traditional semester, if you will. And we do cover quite a bit of ground. So anyway, so far as the course itself is concerned, the textbook that is required, there's additional reading, of course. I have lectures, etc., that are online as well, but the textbook is one we are free, 6th edition, and this can be picked up at the campus bookstore. It's a Northwood publication, so you may be able to find it at Amazon, but I'm guessing that most likely you won't be able to, but you do need this. This is required reading. So far as the course itself is concerned, the description is right here. Examines the role of freedom, individual responsibility, property rights, entrepreneurship, and free markets, and moral, intellectual, and economic development. So further, course materials draw on philosophical arguments, economic theory, and historical examples to demonstrate how these factors work together to create civil society, and the prerequisites, of course, are listed as well. And this is a capstone type course, so this is, of course, everyone that's taking this class is probably well into their senior year, if you will, into their 4th year. At any rate, um, my from my background, this is a quick step back. I've been teaching economics for a number of years. I've been teaching since going back to uh, at least 20 years now that I think about it. It goes back to probably in the mid 1990s. I was teaching some classes at it's called the Center for Banking Excellence, or the American Institute of Banking. I taught a lot of economics courses there. So I come from an econ background. I have 2 econ degrees from the University of Detroit Mercy, and also a history degree undergrad, and an MBA. Worked at Chrysler for 10 years and have been teaching pretty much full time adjunct status, meaning I've been, with the term is Rhodes Scholar, I've been teaching a number of different places, a lot online, including Northwood, Delta College up in Saginaw, online and face-to-face there, Mott Community College in Flint, U of M Flint, UC Berkeley, taught online. So roughly going back to about 2005. So I've got 13 years of kind of full-time, if you will, teaching experience, teaching any number of economics courses, um, uh, uh, lots of finance courses, corporate finance, international finance, personal finance, entrepreneurial finance, as it's also referred to as, number of different finance courses, and even taught a geography course, a couple of, maybe 3 or 4 geography courses, world regional geography. Very interesting class, and it does actually go in well with that whole econ curriculum. So again, my background is economics primarily, but I do have a broad-based background, lots of philosophy courses and I think that you will gain a lot more out of this course um, than you might expect. We'll just leave it at that. So at any rate, uh, that's the course, and the goals and objectives are straight out here. Straight, as you read through these, understand the benefits of Judeo-Christian ethics, mutual trust, voluntary cooperation, free society, property rights, limited government, how the founders viewed the idea of liberty. So they would be drawing back on, going back at the actual, of course, pre-revolutionary, drawing on the English tradition and et cetera, Grotius, et cetera, going back, the basis, if you will, for this great American experiment. Uh, and further distinguish between different theories of human nature, et cetera, drawing again on the economic side of this, how the free enterprise system developed, and very straightforward. And kind of in number 7, distinguish between centralized planning and decentralized markets. Uh, this will give well, again, this is more from an economics perspective, of course, and it's interesting. We'll be looking at how command economies differ, of course, from uh, uh, competitive free market systems, as I like to refer to them, which would, of course, be decentralized markets and et cetera. Anyways, explain the nature and contribution of entrepreneurship. And entrepreneur is a very, very important function, especially it's underscores the mission, if you will, at Northwood. And entrepreneurial function is one of the productive resources, meaning labor, capital, entrepreneurship, and land. And it's a very, very important function because these are the decision makers at the firm, if you will. So, and lastly, describe the personality, character, and skill necessary for individual success in this business and in this environment. So what we're looking at is that we're trying to make this as personal as possible for you to be able to carry this information with you forward. So at any rate, so far as the course again is concerned, this is the basic standard layout so far as the grading at Northwood. And A, of course, 94 to 100, and so on and so forth. So this is what you are used to at this point. So there's no big deal. And the actual course itself, the way that the breakout is 7 weeks of discussion boards, 7 weeks of quizzes, and 6 exams, and plus the final exam. So 7 total, if you will. And there's also a critical thinking assessment that is part of this course, and that would be coming maybe the 5th or 6th week into the course. And it's basically a general knowledge type of an assessment, trying to see where you're at uh, um, so far as as it pertains to your educational experience in this class, and also at Northwood in general. And we'll explain that as we kind of go through. So for the quizzes are on the current material, and let's just move on. So this is an example. For week 1, we'll say, and typically the classes run from Monday at midnight through Sunday at 11:59, the end of the day on Sundays. Um, and this is, again, walking through the schedule. It's pretty typical, very straightforward. And I want you to be aware of this, aware of the way the course rolls out. And specifically what I mean is that, so for week 1, for example, covers units 1 and 2, and it's not by chapter, this is by unit, which is that's a longer, there are a number of chapters, and I don't have the book in front of me, but you'll be able to figure it out pretty easily. Discussion board, I need 5 total posts for the week. This is pretty standard, meaning you can do this however you want to, but this is kind of advisory. Respond to 3 of the questions. You can respond to 5 if I happen to have. In some cases, I've got more than 5 questions, some less. But at any rate, you can respond to however many of those questions that you wish. And also have the comment on at least 2 of the other students' responses. If you don't want to do that, you can again just respond to, I'm looking at 5 total posts, if you will. How you divvy those up, it's completely up to you. And I just want to remind you to be respectful with people. It's not, being critical is fine. Um, and trying to, putting people in the correct direction, that's okay, that's fine. But this is, we want to keep it civil conversation. So week one, quiz one covers the material from week one. So these quizzes cover the current material. So quiz one again covers units 1 and 2. So that's week one, going through week one, all the work completed by Sunday at 6 p.m. is really the deadline, if you will. So keep this in mind. This is pretty much standard if you've taken online courses at Northwood before. So moving on, week two. This is just an example, and this rolls through for the rest of the discrete weeks, if you will. So the first thing you should probably do is when you get into week two is I would do the exam one. Exam one covers the previous material. Now the exams are timed, whereas the quizzes are not, so you can come and go on the quizzes. And oh, by the way, with the quizzes, I do offer you the opportunity to go back and to correct your quizzes, meaning to send me an email with the corrections on the quizzes, just the quizzes, not the exams. And what I mean by that is that if I have a true false question, I don't want you just, if you answer it incorrectly, I don't want you to just send back the correct answer, if you will. I want some more deeper understanding on your part, for you to illustrate that, to show me why it is that why it is that the correction is, if you will. And it doesn't have to be long, a couple sentences per, that's fine. I'm not concerned about the length of it, just so long as you understand what the material is. Anyways, those are the quizzes on a weekly basis, and those quiz corrections are due that current week. I do not accept quiz corrections after that current week. So quiz one, any kind of corrections for quiz one are due at the end of week one. So on to week two again. Exam one, this is a timed exam. You'll have ample time to do this, and it covers the material from the previous week. So this is why I suggest that you start with that so that it's still fresh in your head. At any rate, same routine. There's readings, unit 3, 4, several chapters included therein, right? Along with that are the online lecture materials and um, of course, the discussion board, same routine, rolling through the course. All the way through week 7, we have discussion boards and quizzes. And in week 8, the last week of the class, that focuses pretty much on the final exam, okay? So materials run all the way through from week 1 through 7, new material, and then week 8 would be the final exam. Included in the final exam might be a few questions from previous covering, it's cumulative in that nature, but at the same time it focuses primarily on the latest material, again coming from week 7. Okay, anyways, let's have a great semester, and again, feel free to contact me if you have any questions, concerns. Thank you.